Yeah, because I was like, yeah. No, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Okay. Maybe okay.
Find the ball, find the ball, find the ball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't need to bring that up. I love to see. I just wanted to get that. Or no, I said actually 11:30. Yeah. Okay.
Next group on deck. Next group on deck. Next group up on the ball. Next group on the ball. Next group on the ball.
Yeah, guys, I need you to hold off on posting that link. So I just wanted you to get it in advance before you can start to see the excitement.
You know what? I might have just because I was just piecemealing, looking at my 3 lists of text. That was my bad. Did somebody send it to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I get
No, you get that.
Yes.
Yeah, next group on deck. Next group on deck.
I am.
We should have gotten one like Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Wednesday.
Next group up. Next group up. On the ball. On the ball.
Just text
No
her.
walking.
Because I do, you got the information and the link.
Because I've been getting you thoughts. Oh,
Yeah.
Great. I'm making sure.
Ross is here.
Do you people texted about me when I showed up? Was there? Awesome. I mean, you guys are here to listen about the quarterback play, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna break that down for you. No, that's the next section. That's the next section.
Yeah, not all. No, I think we can go ahead and start.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and start this press conference with Ross Bjork. Ross, I'll let you open it up with whatever you want, and then I'll go ahead and call on people as they have questions.
What's the volume like? Can you guys hear me?
And pull the mic up a little bit and lower it if you need to there.
Is that good? Is that better? Okay. Oh, there is a speaker.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're high tech. Okay. All right. Well, appreciate you guys. I know you're here to listen to me break down the quarterback play. Or that's what time is that, Jerry? 11:45. Yeah, we'll let Coach Day handle that part of it. But we're here to announce our new really game day atmosphere, game day fan entertainment called Tradition Evolved. And we have a website, ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Tradition Evolved. That I believe that's live, I think, as we're sitting here today. But we really started reviewing all the game day elements last fall as I was getting here my first year going through the football season. How can we take an amazing setting where there's so much pride, so much tradition, and just make it better? That's the bottom line. Make it better. So kind of take that energy that's intentionally created around game day, but channel it to really more of an emotional response. And then let's not let our programming, meaning how we script our games, get in the way of an emotional reaction that our fans, really do to support our team. And so how do you modernize? How do you innovate in this new era, while at the same time honoring all the traditional elements that make Ohio State so special? So we came up with this term, Tradition Evolved. It just sort of stuck in many ways. And the North Star was honor tradition. And you guys have heard me say this, but not think traditionally. And then how do we keep our fans, really at the forefront, our fans first mentality? So the process, we let Caleb Clark, who's our associate AD for marketing and live events, we really gave him full autonomy. Lay out the process, develop a plan, and create what we think can be a great platform. So from there, we hired a consultant, Johnny and Amanda Greco, Shine Entertainment. They are world renowned for really enhancing a lot of game day atmosphere. So Johnny came in and looked at a couple games, not just football, but also a couple basketball games as well. And so we worked with Johnny and his team. We had multiple meetings with student groups, with Block O leadership, with student government organizations, fan and donor groups, sort of some informal focus groups. We used our fan surveys to gather a lot of input. We worked with band leadership. The band is a critical piece of this. If you've already checked out the website, you see some nuances around how we're enhancing the band. Ohio State Sports Properties, they handle all of our sponsorship. They're a big part of making these changes happen. Alpha Phi Omega, they've been the bell ringer post-game. We're incorporating a new pregame routine into with the Victory Bell. So we met with them, and then just a lot of stakeholders internally. How do we make sure we pull this off? So here's the buckets. I won't get into a lot of the detail. We want the website to really speak for itself, but we will have a Victory Bell ringer. The first game, Archie Griffin is our Victory Bell ringer. So the Victory Bell will be rung before the game to signify that's the time for the team to enter the field. The Victory Bell will also continue to obviously be rung post-game by Alpha Phi Omega, but we really want an honorary figure, a former player, somebody connected to Ohio State, some celebrity perhaps, to really be the one that pulls that rope on the Victory Bell. And then on third down, that'll be the third down signal. When we need a stop on third down, the Victory Bell will be what signifies our fans to get into. And if you look at the Victory Bell Tower, above it says "for vigor," and that means effort, energy, and enthusiasm. And so we want the Victory Bell every time it's rung to really, signify for vigor. We will introduce the towel, right? The Ohio State University. We will have the towel. The first game, all fans that enter the Texas game will receive a free towel, and then, of course, we'll sell it, right? It'll be a merchandise item, but we want people to bring that back. We want the towel to be a signal, to really be a unifying approach. Our fans, what we heard from our fans is there's not really a single song, or some people have pom-poms, some people have a towel. What can we bring to the table that unifies our fans into a just, more passion, more energy. So we say the best fans in the nation, and we want our fans to wave that towel and be energetic every single time. We'll have color outs. We'll have different themes for different games throughout the year. Another cool feature is we will enhance the team entrance. People remember the Tennessee game and how the team came out, different lighting, different music. So we'll do a new team entrance, and then Brutus will have his own entrance before each game. That'll be different. It'll be unique. And so we're definitely going to signify Brutus entering the stadium. We want him to be, again, anchored as the best mascot in all of college sports. We will also utilize the ramp, the band ramp on the north end. That'll be a signifying moment that will really highlight using the ramp in unique ways. Defend the shoe. So this is unique, right? The Buckeye leaf is synonymous with success, with passion, with leadership. It obviously goes on the helmet. Our fans can now earn a Buckeye leaf. It'll go on the video board. It'll be shown throughout. It'll be, similar to baseball stadiums where they have like a, strikeout chart. Block O, our student organization, will have a chart of Buckeye leafs. Every time we get a third down, we make a false start on third down, or somebody has to call timeout because it's too loud. I remember the Indiana game. What did they say after that game? Hey, the crowd really impacted our silent count. So anytime there's an impact, the fans can earn a Buckeye leaf. I think that'll be really, really cool. Soundtrack of Ohio Stadium. How we do music, when we play music, the type of music, we're going to reformat all of that. We want to bring just more energy into the stadium. And so we'll really make sure that we're paying attention to each part of the game. If there's a great play, it could be different kind of music. If we need to hype the crowd coming out of a timeout, we'll have different music. One of the really cool things here in Ohio is the passion, the pride. And so the band Camp. Does everyone know who's our music buff here in the media? Who knows Camp? They have a song called Ohio, right? And so we will take that song, we will put it to a cool video that really speaks to the state of Ohio pride, and we'll play that in the first half. It'll really rally, I think, our fans around our great state of Ohio. So the song Ohio hopefully will be synonymous now with Ohio Stadium. Block O, we've increased the section of Block O. We've added more seats for our student leadership group, our fan group called Block O. It creates a louder section, a bigger section there in the south end zone. They used to be in the north and in the south. Now they're only in the south. And so we want Block O to have a meaningful presence. And really, if you think about it, great stadiums, the energy oftentimes, most of the time, is created by the students. So we need Block O to really be the leadership of the fan passion in Ohio Stadium. We'll remake video board content. We'll really reformat our video board to make it speak more about Ohio State. So you'll see a lot of things there. Also, really cool about the Tennessee game, we were able to take over the LED, the ribbon board, the video board. We can make it all one color. So you'll see some things. We don't have flashing lights yet, right? We're working on some projects around some new technology, but video board content will be really cool. Presentations. Instead of doing presentations on the 20, please direct your attention to the 10-yard line or the 20-yard line. Any presentation that we do will be utilizing the ramp. And when you come to the bottom of the ramp, that's where the dignitary, the team, whoever we're honoring, will stand on a Buckeye leaf. And that's where we'll get everybody fired up about that presentation. We will also shorten the scripts on those presentations. We want energy in the stadium. And then we'll save the best for last. The best damn band in the land, right? We want to enhance them. We're moving them to the north end zone. We're going to amplify them through sound. We'll have microphones. We'll have speakers. We think the sound will be better back there in the north end zone. One of the things that we're also changing is we're not necessarily going to play Hang On Sloopy between the third and fourth quarter. That will be played when it's needed the most. It will be more organic. We'll play it when the moment is right. It's not just going to be kind of stuck there between the third and fourth quarter like it has been in the past. And so Hang On Sloopy will always play in Ohio Stadium, but we are going to have the flexibility, depending on the moment, to play it when we need it, when we need the energy that people care deeply about that song. So those are the buckets. It's all laid out there on the website. We think it'll be a really cool atmosphere to roll it out for the Texas game. We know it's a noon game, but it shouldn't matter. These elements can apply no matter what time the game is. Our fans can rally no matter what time the game, and that's what we're excited about. And then this template, it will overlay to the Schottenstein Center, to the Cavelli Center, to Jesse Owens. Wherever we're playing a game, we want the same elements, the same philosophy to be part of the interaction for all of our fans. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Outstanding. Thank you very much, Ross. Over here to your right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ross, you obviously placed for Ohio State.
Yeah.
What was your impression last year, first year AP of the experience here?
Yeah, look, the loyalty and passion is unmatched, right? But it just felt like we were missing something for people to kind of grab onto, whether that is a physical thing, whether that's a song, whether that's really kind of showcasing the true history of Ohio State sports. You know, the Buckeye pride is deep. I mean, there's so many people that maybe they can only come to one game a year, or they've gone to one game in their lifetime. We want them to walk away saying, I'm coming back. And I just didn't feel like we had that gravitational pull around uniformity and around really the true tradition. So I thought it was great that the passion's there, but then how do we produce it more for entertainment? And so those are the things that we looked at.
Tim May.
How much thought did you give into ringing the victory bell premature? I mean,
Yeah.
Like you said, the bigger thing makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
You know, again, it's such an asset, right? So we looked at how do we take all of our assets that we have that everybody gravitates towards, but then amp them up to another level. Again, the Buckeye leaf, right? Having our fans say, hey, I can earn a Buckeye leaf for the entire stadium because we caused a false start. How do we take the victory bell, right? And the reason why they put the bell in is so people knew if Ohio State won. Okay, well, that's a signal for excellence. We want excellence to be a standard. So let's have that be the signifying moment of when the team is walking on the field for victory, for energy, for effort. So I think it's a cool way. And then if you can have somebody that pulls the rope, like Archie, obviously, clearly with his second Heisman Trophy, 50th anniversary of his second Heisman Trophy. No one else has that. Have him be the first. When I called him and asked him, he was so fired up. There's a video. I think the video's out as well with Archie, you know, pulling the rope on the. So it just thought, you know, it's an asset that's not utilized, but only, right, 7-8 times a year. How do we use it as a ramp up, you know, to really signal a rallying cry? I think it was a great idea by Caleb and his team.
Sorry about that. To your left, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Do you think that it was more the atmospheres that you experienced on the road last year, or the Tennessee game?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
maybe the lack of atmosphere
Yeah.
some of these games that helped you to kind of
You know,
wanna do this?
I think it's just an evolution of college sports, right? People, again, how do we create a home field advantage? And then I think people want to be entertained, and people see these other games that are happening around the country. So I think it's a combination of all of it. Part of it is, look, we need some new technology. So we need a new sound system. We need new ribbon board, LED board that's coming into the future. So part of that was gearing up and having the right platform to be ready for that new technology. So it's just a combination of a lot of things. A lot of people that were at the Oregon game remember that game, and they're like, oh, wow, that's what it can be. People remember the Tennessee game. So it really started, I think for me, it started after the first couple games where I saw that there was an opportunity here. Yeah. We're hoping we can get some things installed by 26. If not, everything would be installed by 27. Yep.
Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Everybody on the same page a lot.
You know, throughout the process, again, Caleb ran a great process. The amount of feedback that we got, the amount of input I think we had on the front end, I think really allowed for a runway. Look, even the band, we met with the band and they were all in. They want more energy. They want more involvement into the game. They want more organic moments while also protecting the history. So every time we laid out a new wrinkle or a new idea, I don't think there was anything that everybody said, "Oh, that's too far. That's a bridge too far." I think everybody was ready to really embrace this.
Jared Smalley.
Ross, can you run through what the south end zone will look like now? You're doing that construction
Yeah.
there for the new upgraded seating. And then you're going to put all those students together. So two things on that front. What the construction look like throughout the season? And then how will the new Blocko be formed? And how much real estate could then be left?
Yeah, as far as block, we're adding 2 more sections for Blocko. I don't know the exact number of seats that we added. It almost doubles their section, 2 more sections. This year, you will not see any quote-unquote construction. All of the install for the new south end zone premium area will be done in the summer of 2026 to be ready by fall of 26. So you won't see anything new this year in the south end zone other than Blocko being expanded by 2 sections. And then that just creates, again, as we map this out, is look, we sold almost 26,000 student season tickets again this year. I think it's over 26,000. Again, the more things we can do to just evolve and create, we want our students to be the focal point of energy. And so that's why when we met with Block O, they were all in to consolidate them by moving the band. That obviously freed up space. So all of those pieces, worked in harmony together. I'd have to probably check Caleb in the back. I don't know if it leaves much room at all for any other fans in the south end zone, other than if there's games that we don't sell out the student section based on the package that they bought, we'll have some flexibility. But otherwise, we expect it to be full every game.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Whether it's some of the stuff you're building in that south end zone, that's some of the other ideas you have, trying to balance maximizing fan experience while also making sure that you're putting things in place that can also help you make more money. What are those conversations like in trying to make sure you're upgrading Ohio State?
Right. It's a balance. Yeah. I think as we look at the horseshoe, it's really going to be a balance. How do we do amenities for every fan? Restrooms, concessions, concourse, whatever that might look, parking, egress, ingress. But then also, how do we monetize? Because in this era, right, even though we make a lot of money here at Ohio State, there's more. We have to produce more. We're balancing 36 sports. We're balancing revenue share. We're balancing NIL opportunities, right? And so all of those things come into play. So as we look at future, it's going to be a balance of what produces revenue, but also how does it speak to every fan that walks in there. We have a team shop concept that we want to deploy. We took 2,000 seats and lowered the price, and they do not require a donation. How do we continue to look at those kind of models? So the key word is balance, right? Balance in an old stadium. I think this past weekend was the groundbreaking anniversary back in 1921, I think, when they broke ground on Ohio Stadium. It's 104 years ago. How do we keep the stadium going, for the next 100 years? That's going to be the balance.
Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, Ross, clarification detail on towel and feet towels.
Yeah.
I think it said 100,000 handed out at the first game.
What's our capacity? 102, 780, right? Yeah.
57,000 season tickets. So, what about the second game?
Bring the towel back. Yeah, then we're going to sell them. We'll have towels for sale. Yep. Or get it from your buddy who you got your ticket from for the first game, right? Right.
Joe Reedy, far left, Associated Press.
Ross, kind of a two-pronged question. It is just expanding off the towel. Was there any hesitation among the group because there's a city 180 miles to the east that is very popular with that?
There's a lot of copycat ideas, right, that are out there. People will copycat what we do many times too. But, look, I think it's all about, the word "the" is synonymous with Ohio State. No one else has that. So how do we create an item using the word "the"? And then the towel, it just seemed to be the easiest, most fan-friendly element that people gravitated towards. I think towels have been introduced over time at different points. So there is some history of that, but just making it consistent. But no, we weren't really worried about anybody else. We were trying to be unique about the word "the" here at Ohio State.
And then just in terms of presentation, how much of it is trying to replicate that pro sports experience with presentation, but also there's a lot of element in college that people want.
Yeah, look, I think what's unique about college sports is you have students, you have a band, right? I mean, the people gravitate towards the players. They have so much affinity for their institution. So I think it is a different element. And so how do you balance those elements of the collegiate feel, but also saying, look, it's about entertainment. It's about monetizing. It's about using your technology. It's about using sponsors in a more unique way. It's about the certain kind of music that you play. Again, using elements of our tradition to entertain the victory bell. The ramp is synonymous with the entry to our stadium. So I think it's just capturing the tradition of that, but also saying, it is different. People do expect entertainment, but they also want the connectivity. And I think that's what we have here at Ohio State.
Doug Maurice.
Ross, I think sometimes with night games, that energy
Yeah.
can be organic.
Right.
I heard you guys play some games with you.
I've heard about that. Is that another story that we need to talk about? Yeah.
Just that reality, would that encourage you guys to
Yeah.
be more thoughtful or proactive with some of these ideas?
Yeah.
You're trying to create that?
Again, what we tried to create is, look, we can't predict game time. We can't control it. We can have input. We can give our opinion, but the times are the times. How do you take a platform? It doesn't matter what time it is. We can ring the bell, right? We can use the ramp. We can do Buckeye Leafs. We can change our music. We can flash LED in daylight too, right? There are certain things you can do at night that you can't do, like drone shows. Can't really do that during the day, right? We did that at the Tennessee game. But really taking a platform and saying it doesn't matter. How do we engage our fans in a more unique way? That's what we wanted to really stand the test of time. If it's a noon game, a 3:30 or a 7:30, it shouldn't matter. Here's the platform. Here's the tradition. Here's the elements to get our students involved. So it really had to kind of stand the test of time, no matter what time the game time is. That was important. Yeah. An NIL question? Free game. Here we go. Yeah.
After looking at it now, what are your thoughts? Does this change anything to Taylor?
Yeah, look, the ruling about from the College Sports Commission about the collective world, that's what we anticipated, right? It doesn't matter what you call yourself. It's really about what your purpose is. So we have all kinds of opportunities in the business world that meet valid business purpose, range of compensation. So we're deploying those things right now. We were ready to pivot if we needed to, but in a lot of ways we didn't have to. That's why we created Buckeye Sports Group. We're talking to sponsors. We're talking to donors. Our collectives are still engaged from a leadership and a structure standpoint. So we have a lot of things in place to adapt to what was said last week, but also we're still waiting on the rules to be published. We're still waiting on what does cap circumvention mean? What can and can't you do with high school prospects? Because many people have different interpretations of that world, right? So there's still some things that the world is waiting on for college athletics. Hopefully we'll have some clarity this week. That's what we've been told. But we really need a whole messaging campaign to come out of the College Sports Commission. Here's our staff plan. Here's the roadmap. Here's the things that haven't been solved yet, but here's the things that will be solved. We've got to instill confidence in the system. And we're urging the leaders of College Sports Commission and our commissioners to get the clarity that we all need so then we can keep marching forward.
And will you have both the Buckeye Sports Group and the collectives operating separately, but together?
No, together. Yeah, it has to be an integrated approach now. We've been on the same page definitely since I got here, but also even before with collectives and our team here in athletics. So even more so, a more integrated approach I think is needed in this environment. Yeah. Yeah, they're still there. Yeah. Again, the leadership is still there. The people are still there. The infrastructure that they had in place before is still there. That never went away. How that weaves in, those are the things that are all, evolving on a kind of daily, hourly basis.
Back in center field, Whitney Harding, WCMA.
Hey, Whitney.
Who is your
I mean, you got to start with Archie. Again, he's one of one, right? There's only one person that, and that's why it just made so much sense. Last year, we did the statue, we did Archie Griffin Way. I mean, that was memorable. And so you couldn't really duplicate those kind of things for the second year. So it was really more about how do we take him and highlight him in a unique way. And as these plans evolved, I don't know how you pick anybody but Archie.
Over to the right, Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Steve.
Sounds like you're addressing the entertainment aspects of this whole
Yeah.
experience. Two biggest complaints that we see on social media message boards: one, long lines for bathrooms.
Yep.
Two, long lines missing a whole quarter of action to get a beer or a concession item, whatever. I know that you can only do so much at one time, but what can you do? And you're limited by the building as well as what you can build in. What can you do to alleviate those two big things that we just talked about?
Yeah, that's what we're working on, right? The restroom piece would be more building and infrastructure and more like tenant improvement projects. Concessions around technology. I mean, everything is right. Point of sale. You tap your card, you can use your phone. I mean, that's sped up a lot of things. So I think technology will help on the concession part. I don't think there's technology to speed up, going to the bathroom. And so we can maybe work with AI on that. Maybe there's an AI algorithm. But the infrastructure, that's the piece that we really have to lay out, right? Over time, how do we take incremental steps and just improve the stadium? And so, we do a lot of things throughout the year to upgrade. We've winterized, another step in winterizing the stadium to make sure we can continue to host games in the playoff, but also like the hockey game. But the restroom piece, that's the part that we're mapping out from a master plan standpoint. How do we make those things happen?
Sounds like the letter of intent is kind of going by the wayside. December, like what now binds a high school athlete in November, December to the college they're going to enroll in January, and how sticky?
Yeah, the letter of intent went away last year, right? That went away, and so you're signing a financial aid agreement for the scholarship piece, and then you're also now those athletes that receive a revenue share allocation will sign a revenue share MOU, memo of understanding, and so that's what would bind them to the institution. And again, there can be buyout things in there. There can be transfer language in there. Again, some of those things can be negotiated individually. Some of those will be standards by the Big Ten because we're part of the Big Ten. So those things will be signed in December on signing day. There's not much other than, maybe what you call it, right? Memos of understanding is what the Big Ten has laid out. It's a uniform, memo across the conference. So we're working, through the logistics of that right now. Contract, memo, whatever you want to call it, it should have the same parameters. I think what you may be getting at is the employment piece. Like, okay, where does that go? And look, I think as an industry, nobody's there yet, right? We can talk about it, but it comes with a lot of complications. And so right now we think this is the right structure. We'll keep analyzing and keep building, for what lies ahead.
Got time for just a couple more. Over to the right, Austin Ward, WBNS Radio and TV.
You guys spent months working on the premium seating project, done months of this. Now it's coming to the finish line. Like, what is the next new project? Is there one that's underway now, or is there one that's on your mind that's the next thing?
On which list? For which sport? Yeah. Look, there's always some. You're always evolving. Look, we know we're sitting here in the Woody Hayes Athletic Complex. We know that this is on the list. How do we do it? How do we fund it? We're in kind of a quiet phase. We're talking to donors about this project. So we've got the Woody Hayes project on the list. We've got the new ice hockey arena on the list. And then what happens to the St. John corridor area, that's on the list. We hope to install new video boards for soccer, softball, baseball, all the outdoor venues that need an upgrade. We hope those get installed over the next year. A new video board in the Schottenstein Center. I mean, there's a constant list. Obviously, Ohio Stadium, we talked about that, but we really want to get hockey in the Woody Hayes complex off the ground, make those visible. Here's what we're doing. Here's the timeline. Here's the funding outline. So hopefully by this fall, we'll have a little more clarity on what that looks like.
And final question, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Yeah.
How much do you lean on others to decide, hey, this is something we can change, like the victory belt, or maybe this is something we don't touch because it's sacred to.
Yeah, I think that's why we did the focus groups. That's why we had a great, robust process to say, is there anything that we may want to touch that we shouldn't, or we need to be careful about? And so it's very, very important. So we rely on former players. We rely on staff members who have been around a long time, obviously, fans and donors, things like that. We relied on a lot of input of just saying, hey, everyone recognize the need. Then it's about how and how do we execute it. So I think it was a great process to get a lot of input.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Folks, just FYI, Ross will be on all sides with Amy Jurovich tomorrow, 10 to 11 on WOSU.
Will the bell ring before every third down, or just like big third
It'll
downs?
be
Every third down.
when we need it on third down,
Yeah.
it'll be piped in.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it won't be the actual.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank
Probably should have clarified. Yeah, but it'll be piped in. Yeah. What's that? Does he? Yeah, for the first game. Yeah. He won't have to do it every third down.
Yeah, but no, this is.
Well, I agree.
All right, thanks, Rob.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Rob.
great job.
You got a second on the clock, Coach Hart. You got a second on the clock. Offense is still up. You need a touchdown. That's awesome.
It's okay to have it in a section of your stadium. Jerry, actually, yes. Well, no, I'm saying like, yeah, so like students can be between seating 60 minutes. This is hard. Oh.
Dan Hope will be the new starting quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, God.
He missed. We're going to put Coach Dan in his first foot right here, and then the rest of as Bessler and the three quarterbacks come in, we'll.
If you put Julian right here, they can't quarterback. The other two didn't get the back.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's two. All eyes on me.
Oh, you were like going like this.
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. No, that's.
That was Dan Hope summed up analytical district. If I were ever a UFC fighter, my walk.
Big safety.
Yeah. 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 But it'd be a lot simpler. Yeah. We did. I did it the other day. I can follow directions. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even really big with you. I learned that. So right here, this is good enough in here. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, that's generally the last 3-4 years. That's like, you know, yeah, they have. Well, I believe it's not just.
Mic check, 1, 2. Excellent.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can see it. Yeah. The one on the inside of the
Coach Day, so one question, one and done. Y'all can raise your hand as much as you want because Mike is. Not yet. Yeah.
My daughter's something under. Start from grade. We're gonna just. I don't like that either. Or you can pay your own way to college.
Yeah, I don't know. We could talk.
We used to do it with you when we started like
Yeah. Two and done. Two and done.
And the media room, Jerry and media room. I'll get you back. I think it's M-ball good, but it's too hard. You need to press that. That's a cool hat. This is 10 days.
Seven.
Just to give you breaking news from the week.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
So I know it's past. Since Rusty breaking news.
You want something, Tim? I'll hold off on them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Part of the strategy behind a lightning round. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for game one after listening to Ross.
That's the least surprising thing ever. That was something
He looks unhappy. His hat is not on properly.
All right, hey folks, go ahead and get ready. We got Coach Day coming. No, Mike is.
All right, guys. First lightning round of the season. You know the drill. Start with Dave Biddle right here.
Ryan, you guys were so good in short yardage and scoring touchdowns in the red zone last year. And I know there were many factors, but quarterback run seemed to be a big reason why. The previous year, you guys weren't that good in short yardage in the red zone. Is that a concern going into this year at all?
It's a focus. It always is a focus, though. And we have to decide what the things are this year that we're going to do to make sure that we convert. Like you said, situationally, overall, I think we were above average in third and long, third and medium, and short yardage in terms of the national average. So we always want to be in the top 20. And so, yeah, I mean, these are all the situations. We're really working on situations quite a bit in this camp because of the first game, because of some of the new guys. And so, yeah, I mean, that's, we got to put our packages together. And that's one of the things that we're looking for by the end of the week. We want to have our identity. That doesn't need to be in stone, but we at least want to have an idea. The players can tell us what we're doing and what our identity is coming out of this week.
Ryan, it seems like you got maybe some good news on Edric. When do you think he'll get back out there, or is he already back out front?
We think he's going to be involved with the team drills here within the next 48 hours, if not tomorrow, then the day after. But had another good day today, so yeah, it's good to see him moving around. And he was limited today. But I think he'll be ready to get in these team drills pretty soon.
I obviously hate to see a guy like Edric go down, but how much is this opportunity for other guys now that he's out of there to get those reps that you probably, quite honestly, need?
Well, I think it's important for everybody in the entire program to understand that there's a certain, when you get into the second week of preseason camp, you're getting closer and closer to this first game. And guys have to understand that, if they've been to starter level, take a guy like Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. I mean, they've played football before. They know what it looks like. They know what it's like to be a starter. For guys who are stepping into this role for the first time, that's a new responsibility. And so they have to be able to understand that it takes a lot of work and training to get yourself ready to take on the majority of the plays, but not only take on the majority of the plays, but perform. And so everybody's got an opportunity to do that, to be thrust into that role in bigger roles than they had previously. And so when someone goes down in practice, it forces you to really step up in a lot of different ways. So to your point, when someone goes down in camp, other guys have to step up. And then, you got to take a hard look in the mirror to figure out, okay, like, what do I need to do to be at starter level here? Because if you get to be at starter level, we'll play you, whether it's in the rotation at defensive line or another position. But you have to earn those opportunities. And so the more opportunities these guys have to step in those roles, they got to take advantage of them.
Here to the right, Adam King.
Coach, you've seen the quarterbacks now for a few practices. What are your thoughts? How close are they together? Or is it starting to separate?
Yeah, no, they both have had, good moments and moments where they're growing. The competition continues. But I will say that I've been pleased with the progress. We're not where we need to be. But if they continue to learn from the mistakes they're making and continue to grow off the plays that they're doing well and moving the offense and taking care of the football, then, it's going to go right down to the wire. But ultimately, they got to take care of the football. I'm seeing growth for sure. I'm seeing great attitudes, great work ethic. The practices have been intense just across the board. I think they're doing a good job of leading right now. Now, where it goes here by the end of the week will be critical. This is kind of, I think Coach Guerreri said it's moving week, like it is in the PGA Tour, and it's kind of this week. So it's moving week.
second row, Joey Kaufman.
What, you mentioned sort of like taking things, sort of like what I take those on, where is the biggest level of
when you take as many reps as you do and you're in practice every day, I can make a cut up of 10 that will look bad, and then I can make a cut up of 30 that look really good. So we're in camp flushing through all those. I think when you get more of a body of work, then you can start to identify trends as opposed to one-off situations. A guy slips, maybe the protection wasn't good, maybe someone jumped the route on defense. All those things come into play when you're in preseason camp. So, I've seen these now long enough to know that we need to play through it and let these guys get a body of work before we start making, hard decisions on that. But again, there's been a lot of positives.
Right next door, Patrick Murphy.
Ryan, you talked about
Yeah.
why does he make sense at right now?
Well, first off, when you look at his size compared to the guys we've had in the past, he has plenty size. When you look at his athleticism, he's athletic enough and his strength is that way. So I've gone through it with Mick and with Tyler to see, does he have enough length? Does he have enough size to play the position? The answer is yes. And he was very comfortable there in the spring. So we're seeing some things out of him, this offseason in terms of leadership, just taking on, great voice in that room. He was an Iron Buckeye. So all these things are leading us to believe that he can be our left tackle moving forward. But, or Austin. Yeah. So he's getting work at left right now. Yep. And but now again, primary position, secondary positions, these things are all into play, but we believe that he can do that. He can play left tackle for us. We certainly know he can play guard. Ethan, Phil, those guys are all playing, Ian Moore. So those guys are rolling and getting a lot of reps. You guys saw in the first 3 days, we've been getting a ton of reps. Now we're on one field, going 1s, 2s, and 3s. So kind of like with the quarterbacks, we'll let this thing play out and see where we're at. But I will say that Austin's, shown that he can do it. He can play tackle.
To the left here, Cameron Teague Robinson.
Yep. Yeah. And he's also got a little work at guard too. Yeah. Because as we know, it's a long year. We have to be able to do that. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we certainly learned a lot for coming off of last year. So we'll continue to cross train, but it as time goes on, it's more like 80-20 than more like 60-40, maybe in the spring.
To the right here, Bill Rabinowitz.
Specifically about Julian, what do you like about him?
But yeah, for Julian, what do we like? There's a lot to like. He's very smart, makes quick decisions. The ball comes out of his hand. He's accurate. I think he's got good movement. He's got good quickness. He's got twitch, like in his lower half, but he's got like twitch in his upper half. You remember how like quick the ball used to come out of Dwayne's hands? It's similar with Julian. And so, and I think he's building more and more of a command on the field. So those are all reasons to like him, and he's improved. He wants to be good. He knows what it takes. And so those guys they're battling their tail off right now. And I think they're both, first off, they're friends, Julian and Lincoln, and then Tavian's, coming along too. And that room's growing, but I think they're all good for each other in a lot of different ways. Those guys, that has to be the best room in the country. That's the way we look at it. But to answer your question, those are the positives that we see out of Julian.
Left here, Dan Hope.
Ryan, going back to the offensive line, how do you feel about the overall state of where Massachusetts is right now, both in terms of starters?
Yeah, I would say we're still developing the starters. Depth, I feel good. I feel like we have guys, for the first time in a while where, you get into like the 8th or 9th or 10th guy and you're like, well, I feel like that he's going to play for us this year. Maybe in the past we didn't quite feel that way. But the question is like, all right, well, how's this going to play out in terms of the starting 5 and, who's the 6th guy in? That's where all the competitions are right now. But the good news is we got a lot of guys to work with.
We'll do 2 more. First one, Tim May.
Back in the previous century, when you were competing for the starting job at New Hampshire, what did you tell yourself every morning when you got up? What got you through, the
good question?
Because you want to be buddies with the guy, but you also want to beat him. I mean, you think about what they're thinking about, in these kind of situations.
That's a great question. When I think back on that, and one of my close friends to this day is one of the quarterbacks that was in that room. And you spend so much time together. And the easy thing when you're early on is to kind of hate the guy that you're going against. And then you spend so much time with them, they become your best friends. All that being said, you want to play. And when you're in high school, you're used to being the guy. And there's a certain level of comfort that comes with that. And when you're competing with somebody, you're kind of always looking over your shoulder. And that's not a great feeling, but it's a healthy feeling, because you know that, you have to hold yourself to a certain standard. You're not allowed to have a bad day, and you certainly can't have bad plays. So, when you're going through that competition, it's not a comfortable feeling, but that's okay. That's part of the process.
We'll wrap it up with Doug Lemmer.
And just go back to that. If I could talk to my former self in that spot, I would say, be the hardest worker, outwork the room, but control the things that you can control. Things like the team, commanding the huddle, commanding the line of scrimmage, your body language, your leadership. Like, those things make a big difference, probably more than just, being, 12 of 15 during 7-on-7, if that makes sense. Oh, who the guys in the room? Matt Casano's his name. Yeah.
Ryan, sometimes you're in a spot where you have an established returning quarterback and there's not much question about who the starter is going to be. And sometimes you're in a spot like this with an open competition. Is there anything that an open competition into August is good for a team, good for a room, that there's positives in that? Or is it just something you have to go through when you don't have the number one guy who's established?
Yeah, no, I think there's positives and negatives to everything. I think you can look at it that way. There's positives, I guess, to having an incumbent, but the positives of having a competition is that, every day you got to bring it. And every day, you got to put your best guys out there to figure out who's making progress and who isn't. And guys are always on edge. They're uncomfortable. They're working at it, and I think that's healthy for the entire building.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Yep.
Folks, we have Julian Sayin just outside the 20.
Julian, how do you stay ready and be your best every day when you know every throw, every
Yeah, I mean, it's all about improving every day, and we're trying to make it so every rep is game like, and even in 7-on-7 and routes on air, we're practicing like we're in the game and visualizing ourselves in the game. So I think it's really important. Coach Day has been on us about that.
Are you watching what Lincoln does as well?
All the quarterbacks, we take tips from each other. We take what if they made a mistake, how can we not make that mistake in the future? And when I make mistakes, the other quarterbacks take tips from it too.
How's the vocal leadership for you coming along where you maybe were in the spring?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in developing in that area. In the weight room, Coach Mick, we've been focusing on that, trying to improve in the vocal leadership and just as a team, growing our leaders.
You have to force yourself to do that, or is that something that's comfortable for you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm developing in that role and kind of getting a more comfortable role in that. Yeah, I got you.
Got a day to have the day,
Yeah, I feel like I had some good plays out there, and then there's stuff to clean up. We're gonna get back in there and watch the tape, and see what we got to clean up, and then correct it, and move on to tomorrow. Yeah, we're just taking it one day at a time. We have a close room here, and I focus on how I played today, and then just improving, and how I'm going to go practice tomorrow, and just getting my mindset ready for practice tomorrow.
Coach Day was talking about he had gone through quarterback competitions as a player and kind of
hating the guy at first, but then, getting really close to him and kind of going through that competition. What's kind of your relationship been like with Lincoln as you guys have, entered this competition?
Yeah, I think in the spring we only had 3 guys here in the room. Me, Tavian, and Lincoln. So we were very close as a group, and that's just grown this over the summer and then into this camp. We're a very close room, and Coach Fessler leads that. So it's a very close room, and we compete every day, but we have each other's backs for sure.
What do you feel like the biggest places in which you've grown, where you guys are spraying?
Yeah, I feel like just developing in my footwork and in my accuracy, my mechanics, and then just developing as a leader is where I wanted to grow, and I feel like I've done some of that this summer.
Do you feel like you get more comfortable out there every day?
Yeah, definitely. It's just all about building confidence. You make a great play, you start to build that confidence. So it's definitely important.
How much do you social media pay attention to what's being told?
Oh, I don't really go on social media, in camp, we're just, it's all about ball. So, I text with my close friends and family, but just out here with my teammates and bonding, and it's all about ball.
Do you know Arch Manning? Do you know him?
I don't know him, and I know he's a great player, and I've seen him play over the years, but I don't know him personally.
And you personally, what do you think you will show people the fact you get this job? It's different, about what you bring to the program.
Yeah, I'm just focusing on improving and developing myself, and just being ready if my number is called. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do quarterback stuff. We go over to Coach Fessler's house and hang out. And it's a very tight room, and we hang out off the field and do a lot of stuff together. So it's good. Yeah, we this summer I know we ended up all the quarterbacks. We were playing pig at Coach Fessler's house, and it was fun. Yeah, I feel like I'm developing into that role, and it's I'm trying to improve in it every day this camp, and I feel like I'm just still trying to improve in that area, and I feel like I've done a good job.
Is vocal leadership something that comes natural to you, like having that command, or is it something that you do have to especially work?
Yeah, I feel like I'm developing it, but I feel like it has to be authentic. You can't be someone that you're not. So there's definitely different styles of leadership, but I feel like I'm developing into that more vocal leadership role.
It will always be yours.
Yeah, I think earning trust is just all about consistency. Who are you day in and day out, and are you making the routine plays routinely, and are you someone who the offense can count on and who your teammates can count on consistently? Yeah, we're competing every day, but we know we have each other's backs, and it's a very close room, like I said before, and we have a great room, and it's all about the strength of our room, and if we can all be at our best.
You started growing with some of the guys in the summer in California. Kind of, what was the process like? Who came up with that idea, and how beneficial was that?
Yeah, some of the guys, they just ended up coming out, and we were able to get routes in, over our little break after spring ball, and it was good to just work on that chemistry.
Was that your idea to have them come in?
I think they just ended up coming out on their own, and then we connected up there.
What's the area that you're most focused on right now? The coaches are talking about growing in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just focusing on developing and my execution of the offense, and commanding that huddle and improving in that leadership role.
Well, how hard is it to maintain that day-to-day focus and not try to take advantage of time this that? How hard is it to stay focused on the process?
I feel like it's just being where your feet are. I'm excited to be out there practicing every day. I get to play get to play the game I love, and just be out there and be with my teammates and having fun. And we watch the tape, we correct it, and just move on to the next day. But really, it's just playing the game I grew up playing and playing the game I love with my teammates.
Your national championship media day, you said you improved in everything. You said you really focused on getting stronger during summer, spring and summer. How do you think that went?
Yeah, I definitely put on a couple of pounds with Coach Mick in the weight room, and I think I've definitely gotten stronger this summer and this winter.
Where are you up there?
I'm at 210 now.
You're what? Everybody keeps thinking you're 5'5". You're
No, I'm 6'1". Yeah, 6'1".
You said when it comes to vocal leadership, it's about being authentic and true to who you are. So who are you as a leader? Are you the kind to encourage guys? Are you the kind to like ride guys? Like what is your authentic leadership style?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's different. So, there's some guys that you got to get on and you got to be very vocal with them and, kind of get in them a little bit. And then there's some guys, that you just lay off, they're going to come back and make the next play. So it's different with everybody, I feel like.
Julian, two more questions. Talk to Will Howard at all?
I haven't talked to Will recently, no. But when spring ball, he was out here and we got to connect. And, he's obviously very, very close with our room and Coach Fessler. So I love Will.
Julian, when you're away from football, what's something that you use to kind of get your mind away from this competition and help? Like, what are some hobbies or things that you do to not focus on?
Yeah, when I'm in California, I love going to the beach, hanging out with friends, and just being with friends, being with family, and spend time with them.
Brandon Ennis step up as he's kind of prepared to take on a bigger role.
Yeah, Brandon Ennis brings a lot of energy, vocal guy for the offense, and he's definitely done a great job this far this camp, and he's a great player, and he's a very good receiver.
All right, Julian, thank you.
I was in Orange County.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. That shows you other things. I don't even care what he
Oh, so
It's not helpful. Wrong. It's not helpful if you're 6'3", 6'4". So you got step on. That's how many days that he's got. It also helps. Still, whatever you got to do.
Okay, Billy Fessler on the 20.
Who's your backup quarterback?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
We keep getting questions every day. For the last 8 months, who's this guy? What's going to come down to?
Yeah, I think we're in a situation where number one, we've got to be consistent. We've got to make the routine plays on a consistent basis, day in and day out, rep in, rep out. We can't afford, to be in a spot where we don't make those plays. But as fall camp goes on, the way that it's situated is usually the first couple of days are more normal downs, and as it goes, you start to get into more situational football. We have got to be great on third down. We have got to be great in the red zone. That's where we have to excel, and we got to be great in 2-minute drives. That's where quarterbacks make their money. And so we're in a spot where we're getting more and more of those situations every day. So it's an opportunity for those guys to go out and compete. And it's exciting. I think they're pushing each other. I think everyone in the room is really good for each other right now. And as we come out of this thing, I think that we'll be a very strong quarterback room, and that's, to me, was most exciting about this.
It looked like Julian was more comfortable out there those first few days than maybe he was in the spring. Is that something you've noticed with him going from spring to camp?
I think across the board, all three of those guys have got more and more comfortable. Just when you step into spring ball, right, there's got to be corrections. There's got to be, adjustments. There's got to be things that you're working on every single day. And then you give them stuff that they have to work on in the summer. And they're grinding through those different looks, and they're watching a lot of tape, and getting on the field and getting extra work in. And that's the goal, that all three of them took a step from spring ball into fall camp. And I'm confident that they did. Yeah, I think, there's so much to quarterback play, right? So to sit here and go through all those things, we could be here all day. But, as simple as things as our footwork, as our base, as making sure that, we're getting to the target, as making sure that, we're in a spot where our back foot's connected to the ground and it's underneath our back hip, and we're powerful and using everything we have from the ground. Decision-making, getting our eyes in the right spot every snap, to know exactly what we're looking at, to be able to recognize pre-snap what we think the defense is going to do, and then post-snap, can we confirm that's what the defense does? Okay, and having a plan, right? What if it's not the look that I thought it was going to be? Now what? Where do my eyes need to be, and how does that affect my decision? But constantly playing those games, both on the field, but also I think it's just as important to play that in your head. We talk to those guys all the time that, we're laying around at bed and maybe watching some film and, look at a clip and it'll be, okay, what would I do here on this play? What would I do here on this play? And constantly challenge your mind to play with an imagination, even when we're not out there on the field doing it, is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to get better. And maybe somehow mentally I can put myself in that position. So if I do get a look that hadn't shown up on tape all year long, but they give us a different look on defense than maybe they've shown, I'm ready for that moment. What's that? Well, number one, he's an Iron Buckeye. So, which is pretty incredible. Obviously, we know that's a big deal around here. And his work in the weight room was tremendous. So as an athlete, we've definitely seen that. And then, on top of that, we've seen him grow as a leader. He's more vocal. His presence is felt. I think he's playing with a little bit of an edge to him, which is good to see. I think you have to play that position with a little bit of an edge without, ever getting too high or too low. And that's contagious. So we're seeing that right now from Lincoln. And then, as far as mechanically it goes, we're definitely seeing Lincoln get the ball out quick. I think he's accurate. I think that his base has improved. There's been, a couple of things that in the spring he was working on with his footwork. And we've seen some drastic improvements that way.
Lincoln specifically, that he's got the black jersey on. A lot of things close probably gets taken away by rolling the play dead or things like that. How do you see him as an athlete in that regard, while also not being able to see it as much on the practice field since he's not live?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can't see it to the full extent as though you go live. But we still see it. We still see it. There's times when he's extending plays or stepping up through the pocket and taking off and going. And there's no question Lincoln's a great athlete, and that's got to be something that he plays to his strengths. That's got to be something that his game has in it, which he's shown to do a great job of. He's made a couple plays throughout spring where he's extended the play and kept his eyes downfield and made some great throws. So that's, although we can't see that quite as well because we're not going live, there's still definitely a feeling for that.
He does a lot of that athleticism regard, and I'm sure there are things that Julian does really well. How do you make sure that those guys are trying to win the competition on what they do well, but also making them get out of their comfort zone so they're being thrust into positions that maybe they're not super comfortable with, to show you guys that they can do those things?
Yeah, I mean, as we script practice and we go through it, we try to be extremely detailed in the different reps that everyone's getting, and it's not like we would ever script a certain play on purpose because it fits someone's strengths better. We want them to run the offense. The offense is always going to adjust to the skill set of the players that are in the entire offense. But at the end of the day, the offense is going to be the offense. So from a decision-making perspective, from a throw perspective, those guys are going out there and getting those reps and competing in it.
I assume at this point of training camp, you're not really thinking in terms of who's ahead. At what point do you need to start thinking that way? Or you just right now it's pure development that we'll get there?
Yeah, right now we're just taking it day by day, and really period by period on the field, meeting by meeting off the field. And the one thing that's pretty cool is those guys are very competitive and they push each other hard, and they're ultimately really good for each other because they both make each other uncomfortable because they're both very good players. And Tavian's right there with them, included in that mix. And above all of that, they're still friends. I think what's pretty cool right now is just, you walk into that quarterback room and you got a bunch of really, really good guys that all get along well and are willing to help each other out and give each other pointers and tips if they see something. And, it's an enjoyable environment to be around every day, but ultimately those guys are competing, they're going out there and they're trying to win the job. And I think they realize that every moment is important and every period is important, and they're going out there trying to get it done.
One last question, folks.
When you talk about the quarterback getting the ball out quicker, how much of that is efficiency of mechanics and how much of that is mental? How quickly they see something so they get the ball out?
Definitely a combination of both. I think when you look at a concept, how quick can I process the information I'm getting from the defense? And the way that I can process that information quickly are where are my eyes? Are my eyes in the right spot? If I'm looking at the right thing and I can anticipate what that defender is going to do and make a decision and get the ball out, right? That's a major, major factor in it. And then there's also a piece of it, right, that comes down to the mechanics as well. But I think more than anything, it's about making sure my eyes are in the right spot, making sure that I'm trusting what my read is and making sure that I'm getting the ball out and making a great decision with the football.
Coach Ressler, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yep. Right, exactly. Folks, we have Lincoln Kienholz, just outside the 20.
Lincoln, what does it mean to be named an Iron Buckeye?
It means a lot. I think it's something that I think everyone on our team should strive for, and it's something that I think is probably the biggest honor in the program, especially in the offseason. So it definitely means a lot.
Coach Ressler said that you're getting the ball out a little bit quicker. How did you go about improving in that area kind of over the summer, and how have you seen that show up on the practice field so far?
I think just coming in and understanding the offense more and more, I think it just helps you play faster and you see things differently. So
is that more of a mental thing, understanding thing that it was changing up mechanics?
I mean, a little bit of both. I mean, we talk. Coach Day tells me all the time to keep the ball up a little bit, so don't go through a big wind motion, and then just flick and follow. That's something that I've been working on. So.
Do you have like a bucket list of things coming out of last year that you knew you had to get better at? You follow my drift there to get to where you want to go. Stuff. Did you delineate a couple of those things where you definitely did improve, like your release?
Yeah, I'd say probably first and foremost get my body weight right, get to a spot where I can go out there and play, and then get stronger, get faster. That's something that I've been working towards this offseason with Coach Mick in the weight room, and that's something that I've been looking into a lot. And then also, I mean, football-wise, just film study. That's something that we also did offseason as quarterbacks, just come in and watch film together and just get better. So.
Yeah, how big are you now, weight-wise?
Like 215.
And you're what?
6'3". Yep.
Was being an Iron Buckeye active goal of yours?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's something that I had on my bucket list the start of summer. I think the first week of May was something that I was looking into, and then also getting my body weight up. That was something as well. So
I don't know how often quarterbacks get that honor here. Like, what do you think that says about you and your approach to things and your work ethic and like how people should be
I think it just shows that I put in some work in the off season. I mean, the weight room, also on the field, just go out there and be my best, and I mean, just hopefully prove to my teammates that my leadership's there as well. So. I think we keep pushing each other. I mean, just every day in practice, there's different things that he does on film that I look at to get better, and then I feel like there's things that he looks at that I do too. So I think it's just things we can kind of use each other to get better and keep pushing each other. I do, yeah. I think leadership wise, that's something. Body feels good as well, and then just going out there, being a leader for my teammates. Yeah. I mean, I feel way different. I mean, as a freshman going in there, I didn't really know a whole lot. I think the biggest thing is probably protection for me. I didn't really know really how that worked. And I mean, now that's something that I feel like I'm pretty good at, and I can go out and execute that well. And I mean, also, I mean, I've been in the offense for 3 years now, so it's something that I think just more time, more reps, and film study, it's helped me get better. So.
Everybody positive, but also you want to focus on like these couple of years we have been really focused on quarterback. How much has that changed?
Yeah, I mean, just being an athlete helps. First and foremost, playing basketball, baseball, football. I think that helped me kind of get to the position I'm at right now. But now being in college, it's way different. I mean, just having 3 years to kind of just focus on football and playing quarterback, I think it's helped me put me in a good spot. So.
With your athleticism, it seems like the black jersey could be restrictive for you at times. How do you kind of overcome that, be able to flash that athleticism and show these coaches that you can do all of these things while also knowing that you're not live and having that black jersey?
I think doing a good job, if that's reading DNs, I mean, making a pull, being decisive on that. I think also extending plays at times that need to be extended. I think that's really something that a quarterback needs to do. At times when a play breaks down or something's not there. So, yeah.
What's the difference between being friends with guys in the quarterback room and being friendly with them? Which were you, and how did that develop?
I'd say we're friends, honestly. I think just the past 2 years, Julian and I have developed a good friendship and good relationship towards each other. And then obviously with Taven coming in this year as well, I think we're all good all cool towards each other, and we all want each other to get better and be the best we can. So,
Julian have similar interests?
I mean, it's a little different. He's a Cali kid. I'm from South Dakota, so I mean, there's some things that we have an interest together, but then there's also a lot of things that we do on our free time. I think this summer a big thing was golf. I golfed with Julian a couple of times this summer, so I think that's something that we kind of share interest in. So, I did. Yep. I do not think so. I do not think so.
Is he any good at golf?
He's all right. He's all right. Yeah. I'm not gonna answer that question.
Being an all-around athlete like you were, and Asheville gives you some form of the term street cred with your fellow players here too. That kind of like you've shown in softball games, things like that. You are this athlete. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think,
do a lot of things.
Yeah, I think being an athlete kind of shows that if something were to happen and I need to go in or being the guy, I think just stuff like that, like they can rely on me, just be an athlete, going and make plays. And then also, I mean, just like off-season weight room stuff as well, just being able to do different things at a high level. So.
You know, does it bother you that a lot of Ohio State fans just remember that 2 quarters and a quarter against Missouri? You know what I mean? That's what they've seen most of the games. Like you said, you've gone a long way in that. What do you want the fans to know about you that maybe they don't understand yet?
I mean, that was almost 3 years ago, so I think just more experience. I put in time, I guess, in the off-season, film study, weight room, just get myself ready for a good situation. So.
Do you even think about that? Last question for Lincoln.
I mean, not really. I mean, it honestly was like a don't know how to explain it. It's just it wasn't a good situation for me to kind of go in there, but I mean, I went in and tried to do my best for the team. So,
Lincoln, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Microphone 2, microphone 1.
I can make all of my answers very short. Yes, Tom, no, Tom.
Welcome to a very special live episode of Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Wednesday, August 6th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 24 days, the game against Michigan in 115 days. If you're planning your next event, and why wouldn't you be? Make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. I'm joined by Tony Gerdeman here on the indoor field at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And boy, Tony, there is a ton to talk about here. We didn't even get to watch practice, and there's a ton to talk about here. I guess let's just do this sequentially.
Okay, that's easier.
Yeah, there is a whole bunch of new stuff that's going to be happening at Ohio Stadium when the Buckeyes and Texas kick off in 24 days. The number 1 versus number 2 last game day for Lee Corso and all that kind of stuff. But the game day and the whole thing at Ohio State on game day is going to look very, very different. Got a chance to talk to Ross Bjork as they rolled out their Tradition Evolved program. I don't know if you can see the video board behind me, but they have the whole logo for it and everything. Let's start, Tony. This is not like reinventing the wheel or anything like this. This
Just
is
using a wheel.
This is going, hey, those people have a wheel and that looks pretty cool. Why don't we use a wheel? Game day at Ohio State has been a little sponsor heavy over the last few years. They are, to their credit, really sort of picking up on stuff that they've seen other places or that maybe they've just sort of thought, hey, this would work well at Ohio State. And they're also taking some existing stuff and repurposing it. One of the things is the victory bell, which normally you hear after the game if things have gone the way that the folks in Ohio Stadium hope. But the victory bell, Ross Bjork said, it's this tradition. It's been there for however long, 100 years. You use it maybe 7 times a year. Well, now they're going to be using it a lot more often than that.
Yeah, it's going to be use it before the game, like before kickoff. And each game, each time, it's going to be somebody special, a dignitary, an Ohio State famous alum, or perhaps a celebrity, ringing the bell to just energize people. First game for Texas will be Archie Griffin, and then Griffin and Archie and the organization that works that handles that will then go on and help decide who does it the week following. So it's just. It's going to be part of, I'd say, the kickoff. But yes, like the literal kickoff, it's getting people ramped up and really just one more area, and we'll get to a bunch of others, where they're just trying to engage the fans so they're not just sitting there waiting for something. They can actually take part in something.
And something else that fans can do is if you go to the Texas game, congratulations, you are going to be the proud owner of a free towel. It is going to say "The" on it, very cleverly branded, "The Towel." It's something you have probably seen. There, you got a question about so people in Pittsburgh use these, and not everyone here likes people in Pittsburgh, but this is just, you look at the games in the South and they'll have pom-poms, and Penn State has kind of taken that and just visually, it just gives people something to do. It makes it visually more interesting. And so everyone at the first game's getting one, but then they're going to be selling them as well. So that, this is kind of a little bit different. And, again, this is not something they're inventing. We've also seen this way back in the 80s before. I don't think it will have Big Bear branding this time, but it will be a, something new and different.
Yeah, and Ross said through this, and Caleb Clark, who is basically behind a lot of this, one of the other ADs at Ohio State, AD of Marketing Game Day Experience. There's a lot of titles. I'm not going to get them exactly right.
Yeah.
But one of the big feedback areas they got was fans just want to have something that they can be engaged with. And so the towel kept coming back as, I guess, a popular answer. And yes, it's been done at Ohio State. It's been done plenty of places. I think it's better than keys. I'm going to say that.
100%. Yes.
I did ask Caleb, do you have a price point on it? And he said, not yet. They're going to make it accessible and they want to make it affordable, obviously. But then also, there will be different kinds of towels depending on the opponent, depending on the theme. When it's military appreciation, he said they'll bring out a camouflage towel, the blackout for Penn State, expected black towel for that. So there will be some themes that will go along with this as well, because again, this is also another, yes, it's fun for the fans, but it's also a marketing opportunity and something that the Ohio State can sell. But I don't think, they're not going into this thinking, what can we sell?
Right.
It's going into this, what do the fans want? And then how can we get it to them? And what else can we do along those lines? Because even with the terrible towel, there are different versions of it. There are special ones that are commemorative. And they'll do the same thing here with that.
You mentioned the blackout for Penn State. There are a couple games like that this year, starting with the first one against Texas. There was the picture of Ross Bjork with the towel. It was a red towel, which makes sense because that seems like that's going to be the theme for game one against Texas.
Yeah, scarlet out for Texas, and everybody's encouraged to wear scarlet. And then there will be a stripe out game. Which game is that?
Ohio University.
Oh, yeah, Ohio. That's the night kickoff where I don't know if we got the full experience, the full explanation. I think he was talking about it later, like a helmet stripe and some variation, some section of the stands. But the fans will be told, hey, wear this. You're not going to be given a shirt. I'm sure you have colors. These are school colors. I'm sure you've got something of this sort So coordinate effectively, and it might look pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, this is not reinventing the wheel. You've seen Ohio State do the scarlet out before. You've seen Ohio State do the black out before. You've seen Ohio State do the gray out before. I don't know. We've seen the helmet stripe out before. That's Penn State does that. Penn State did that for the Ohio State game last year. And at Penn State, it's a white out with one section of blue in the middle. So Ohio State, if they do the true helmet stripe, will be gray and then black, white, red, white, black, and then more gray. So we'll see how convoluted they want to make it.
It could look very nice. Why not like the old the gray striped shoulder stripes? Like I know people like that one.
The eternal question: why not the gray stripe shoulder stripes thing? Other things that are going to be potentially changing. Some music stuff. Hang On Sloopy may have a new home, and there is a new song from a band named Camp. Band Camp, but the band is Camp anyway. 2 A's in Camp. I don't know why, but the second A is for UA, which is where they're apparently from. But some new musical stuff as well.
Yeah, Camp and Tom, I know you're not into new music and today's music and the radio and the rock and roll, but they have a song called
Hank Williams Jr. No, thank you, sir.
So I'm looking it up because I'm reading the release when we got it like early this morning before we could release it. And so the band Camp has a song called Ohio. So I search Camp Ohio on Spotify, and then it was right there, Camp Ohio. And then the next song we load out is also from Camp called Ohio's Ugly.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and I'm like, I bet that's not the one
that's not going to be the one they're going to talk about. But they get this idea, I think, mainly from the trip to Oregon last year, because that was quite an experience. There's a before the game, or is it like the third quarter maybe? That's Shout.
That was Shout. But there's a song called Eugene, Oregon.
It's Coming Home. Parentheses Oregon.
Well, there's also a song called Eugene, Oregon. I know because our post game video got a copyright ding for a song called Eugene, Oregon. I was like, "What's a song called Eugene? Where is this?" Anyway.
So but it's some guitar playing, rock and roller, and they sing along to it. They've got this video montage. So Ohio State's going to do a video montage celebrating the state of Ohio. It's only like 2 minutes and 12 seconds, and so
sounds perfect for a commercial break.
Oh, so that's why they did it. And hopefully you can get some sing-alongs going with that as people get to know the song. I would say study up on the song before the game. That way you're not surprised by it. But I think the more encouraging thing is there's going to be more for the best damn band in the land to do, and more freedom for them to do those things. And you mentioned Hang On Sloopy, which I don't know if it's going completely away from the third quarter or the end of the third quarter, but they can play it basically whenever they feel like they need to. They will play it at big moments or whatever, and you don't necessarily have to wait for the break between the third and fourth quarter. Also, the band is going all the way to the north end zone, which is where they were back when I was there back in the day. I don't know if they were amplified back then. They will be now, which is interesting.
Yeah, a lot of this is just trying to make it I think a little bit more of an engaging, interactive kind of experience. So you never really have trouble hearing the band. If you have trouble hearing the band in the stadium, it's usually because something good has happened and the crowd is very loud, which is not a problem that they would view as a problem. But yeah, the band is going to the north end. All of Block O is going to the south end, which will be different. And that's the north end of the stadium is generally the louder end because it's closed and you've got more stuff to sort of hold the noise in. If you got all the students in the south end, that potentially makes that a little bit louder down there. So, go ahead.
Well, the interesting thing is the entire south stands could be the student section.
Yeah, you said 24,000 or 26,000.
26, I think 26,000 season tickets have been sold, which is basically the only way that a normal civilian might be able to sit in the south stands is if there weren't tickets sold for that game. But it sounds like it's pretty much going to be the entire student section in the south stands, which I think is interesting because you always have the students who complain about people like getting yelled at about standing in certain sections, but now they will be all together rather than, I never liked splitting up the two Block O's.
Yeah.
Because back in my day, it was in the north end and we were all together and it was fantastic. I don't know why you would split that up other than there were some renovations and premium seats and things like that, where it's like, we could get more for these than the students are paying. But now, put all of those dirty, crusty students into the south stands where they can just be dirty by themselves and just be loud and impact the game. And hey, impacting the game is also something new.
Yes, that would be. I mean, there are times when that would be a new thing at Ohio Stadium. You see it every once in a while, but now, if the fans do have an impact on it, they'll get a little treat.
They'll get a Buckeye leaf. There will be something on the video board, some display of the stadium getting a Buckeye leaf, and then there will be an actual board by Block O with their Buckeye leaves on them, which I think is a cool idea. I don't know if that's done elsewhere. We've seen the upside down K's and the K counts and things like that.
Started.
Well, I've seen it for all my life at you can tell me Doc Gooden.
I will tell you Doc Gooden because that is factually correct. Yes.
And then Boston stole it with Roger Clemens, as we know. Well. But there will be that thing that keeps track of like forcing a timeout from the opposing offense, forcing a false start, things like that. Where I still remember 1994, my freshman year, Block O. You had the fumbled snap and safety. Like Block O got credit for that, and so this is an opportunity for a collective Block O to start getting credit for some stuff, and not just Block O, but the entire Ohio State fan base in the stadium. So I think that's interesting as well.
Was that in the Michigan game?
Yep.
Todd Collins got his foot stepped on. So once again, Tony trying to claim credit for something he didn't actually do.
Perhaps.
Anyway, so Todd Collins, Ohio State Athletic Director Todd Collins. No, not quite. Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork also talked about some of the stuff that's coming in future years. Obviously, the new fancy club seats in the south end. That's part of the impetus behind moving the band to the north end. But they're also going to have updated ribbon boards, updated sound system, and then it sounded like the flashing lights for the stadium lights. You know how they score a touchdown at Alabama and the stadium lights flash on and off. They can't do those at Ohio Stadium yet. They're working on that. Some of that may be done for 2026. It will all be done for 2027. Was there anything else in terms of the game day atmosphere? Brutus's entrances.
Again, I think you take this from not just Oregon, but seeing the Oregon way the Duck came in. Brutus will enter the game differently each time, each game. I don't know how many different entrances you can come up with over the span of, say, 3 years. Eventually, you'll have to parachute in just to be different. So, South stands knocker ball, or you can just have them passed down by the students.
Yeah, passed down by the students would be a great idea.
Shawn Michaels, the way he used to enter the ring, via the zip line. I'm sure there's going to be a zip line.
Doesn't the Jaguars mascot Jackson DeVille doesn't he zip line down from
Probably.
the lights or something?
So there's going to be some. I don't know what would be the most appropriate vehicle. Oregon, the Duck has the motorcycle.
Pope Mobile.
Is that an Ohio-based thing?
Well, you do it for the Illinois game, and you're really kind of Notre Dame or Illinois, either one.
There you go. That's a good idea. Pope Mobile. Just shove it in their faces in Chicago.
Yeah, take that. Our pizza's better.
People say it.
People are saying
Columbus
it. You're hearing it more and more.
Better than both Chicago pizza and New York pizza.
Well, that's half true. Anyway, so
the best pizza, though, Tom, as we know. What? Altoona style pizza. There you go, Kevin.
You heard it from Kevin Newton. There you go. All right, so that covers some of the game day stuff. So that'll all be new and different this year. It's going to be quite a rollout for that. Ross Bjork did say, there's certain stuff that we can only do at night games, drone shows, and that kind of stuff. I think they looked at how the crowd was for the Tennessee game and the night atmosphere and all kind of stuff, and thought, what if we had this more often? And you can
games?
Well, you can only control that so much, but you can control some of the other elements of that. So, looks like we have a super chat.
Jordan Kepler, if there's not a Brutus knockerball entrance, we riot.
If there's not a Brutus knockerball entrance, we riot. I think at some point, for one, is the head too big to get in there?
I think you could put it.
You have to build the knockerball around the head.
You can maybe do it at the top.
But then it won't roll.
Yeah. I don't know. That's going to be. You certainly can't do it with the old school Brutus head that they use for
which was just a
homecoming.
knocker ball.
Yes, which is basically a knocker ball in and of itself. Yes.
Well, there you go. There's your answer. Just make the knocker ball a Brutus.
Yeah. So I do think the Brutus crowd surfing down the student section would be very cool. You want to make sure you go feet first, though, because if you go head first, you might pass out from blood flow to your head. Also, gravity will help keep the head on if you're going feet first. So that's my tip to anyone in that Brutus costume.
I just don't know how many different ways you can enter. I know at some point by 2027, He's going to be shot out of a cannon. There'll be like a net placed at the 50 over the stadium into the stadium, because this is an entrance.
Evil Knievel style.
So you've got to come from outside the stadium. Segue. I don't know how exciting that's going to be.
Well, if you operate it incorrectly, it could be very exciting. So there you go. So there's some of the changes to watch for in that first game against Texas and beyond. Now on to the more on-field stuff for what that Texas game might look like. I had a chance to talk to Ryan Day after practice. I guess let's start with before we're going to talk about the quarterbacks. Don't worry. But there was one of the big stories last week was Edric Houston, and it sounds like Ohio State has officially dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, he's doing well. They expect him to be back in full 11-on-11 team competition in the next 48 hours, if not tomorrow, he said. So doing well. And again, we saw him like trying to sneak into some drills this weekend. So he was moving around pretty well and doing well. And so now it looks like he's going to be all set in time for whatever they do on Saturday in terms of a scrimmage.
Yeah, so that is some very, very good news in terms of, news, because it's new information, but it's not actually new information. Tony, what's going on with the quarterbacks?
Well, thank you for asking, John. What is going on with quarterbacks? They are still practicing. Back to you. No, basically they're still neck and neck, as Ryan would say, and everybody's just trying to they're taking it day by day. I don't know if
I heard that from more than one person today.
Just hour by hour, at sometimes drill by drill, just trying to get better, helping each other get better, competing, and it's every quarterback thing we've ever said about a quarterback competition in terms of the day-to-day aspect. Just go back to that. Tom, just cut that in right now.
Yeah, we'll just splice that in live. Yes.
Post-production.
Absolutely. So I don't think you can do that on a live show.
Kevin, is that true?
Sorry, I was reading comments.
He's not paying attention. Anyway, so dynamite drop in, Monty. So we've got the quarterbacks. The one thing, Ryan Day did say there's been improvement. They're still not where they need to be, but he's been pretty honest about that in the past, where he's not happy with where they are, and you're not hearing that this year. This feels much more like they'll be there, they'll be okay kind of thing. He knows, he is well aware that the Texas game is less than 4 weeks away, and he's not acting or talking like he's deeply, deeply concerned about where they are right now.
Yeah, he certainly seems like he's doing okay. The question I wanted to ask was, again, relative to what have been very good quarterback rooms, is this the most concerned you've ever been at this point in time at Ohio State? Because again, the answer might be yes, but it's relative to everything else. Of course, I didn't get called on, but what would his answer be there?
I think my sense is that you look at 2023, and that was the year where you listened to him talk, and it was kind of like,
I would agree.
Love where we are with everything right now. You're not getting it. It's a little bit different. And this is one of these things where just year over year, there's just little changes in inflection and that was a year where game one was on the road against a future college football playoff participant in Indiana, which was very much not a college football playoff participant in that year, but it was it's on the road in a Big Ten game. This is not game one against Akron or something like that. And that was a year he was concerned. This year, with Texas coming in here, it just is not quite that same vibe, which to me, if you're just trying to read the tea leaves here, I think, we've seen some encouraging things from when we were in practice. Just the way you sort of hear him talking about it, hear Billy Fessler talking about it, I don't get the sense that there's worry there right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we've talked over the years where we have heard and seen the worry from Day, and we have talked about that worry. I don't see that right now. Yes, no quarterback at this point says we're where we need to be at quarterback. So that is nothing new, and that's the same every year. but you certainly don't get this like, oh man, like when we walk out of here after an interview, like, ooh, no,
Yeah,
like there's
yeah.
none of that with the quarterback situation right now.
No, and one place that we have heard that in the past is at the offensive line position. What was it, 2023 or 2024?
Spring of 2024.
Spring of 20.
Wait, no,
three.
Spring
of
before
20
Josh Simmons came in.
Yeah, spring of 2023. We walked out of spring ball with Ryan Day talking about just like, yeah, it's not, it ain't right. This ain't good. And this year, you haven't heard that at all. This year, they're still shuffling guys around a little bit, and that was kind of an interesting thing. It was Ryan Day's in the middle of a soundbite, and our buddy Patrick Murphy asked him to clarify, like, you just said Austin Searveld at left tackle. Did you mean to say right tackle? No.
Yeah, no, at left tackle, working at left tackle. And this was something we saw, it was mentioned on our message board before camp that we might see. And then when we didn't see it initially, it's like, well, but as we know, we've seen these guys move around back in the spring as well. But Austin Searveld working at left tackle right now. And again, I don't know that any of this is, I don't know how much is definite in any of this, because he did say Ethan Onion was at working at right tackle, but also some guard, maybe like 80-20 tackle to guard. And again, they want everybody to have a secondary position. When you're a fifth-year senior, you could probably have a tertiary position as well, like Ethan Onion. So especially being a guy that can get into Rice, you can probably handle the mental aspect of these things. Speaking of somebody who said no to Rice.
Watching your carbs.
So I will be interested to see how is this where it's going to be, or is this just Austin Searveld finding a third position, that sort of thing, seeing who could play right, who could play left, and just gaining information before it's time to really the last 2 weeks get down to figuring stuff out.
Right. I think let's get through the second scrimmage this weekend. You got one, which is on the 11th? No, 9th. Something 9th. So you got the 9th.
I can't do the Tuesday to Saturday.
Yeah, I know.
Number.
Well, and it's Tuesday to Saturday, but really it's Wednesday because it's the morning show. So we're doing some math real quickly. Tony already used up all of his brain power pronouncing tertiary correctly and using it correctly. So
twice.
Very impressive. So you get the 9th, you get the 16th, and at that point, okay, are you still screwing around with guys in different spots in the offensive line? At that point, I'm willing to kind of think about this as this is something they're very seriously considering, that they may have, he may be the better option on the left and on the right. Right now, this feels a lot like, you're kind of moving guys around. You're giving guys some reps into a couple of different spots because you saw last year, hey, you may need to shuffle guys around a little bit. And we talk all the time. They're looking for their best five. And if you know who your best five is going into the season, but depending on who goes down with an injury, your best five may be a different combination of guys.
Yeah, for sure. And he even said, like, they're still solidifying who their starters are, even though, like, we'd pretty much be able to guess with a high degree of certainty who those are, but they might be switching positions. But also, you want to know who are the guys behind them. And as you said, last year was a huge sweeping, evidence that you need to be prepared for whatever. And now this is they can't get their kids sick like last year. So it's like, well, let's do this without getting everybody sick. And see how it goes. And then Ryan Day also said they feel like 8th, 9th, 10th guys could play this year. And not just because of disaster, but like, not that they would rotate guys in, but I think they certainly feel as good as they have about their first 10. And I think part of that is, we kind of know who those 10 are already and came in kind of knowing who they were, which is not generally the case.
No, and I think you only lost because you had those injuries last year. You only really lost off of the playoff team 2 starters. You lost 3 because one of them won the Remington Award, but you had already replaced him. That was already baked in. So you lost your left tackle, you lost your right tackle, but you had your returning center. You had 3 starting guards returning for 2 starting guard positions, which is, an unusual luxury. And you had the big transfer portal addition in Ethan Onianwa. So you can look and kind of go, I bet I know who their best 5 are. And last year Ian Moore was coming on really strong at the end of the year in terms of a tackle, and Josh Padilla was coming on real strong in terms of a center, and they added Philip Daniels in terms of another tackle, and I think the guard spots are with the twos is where I've been maybe, if I was going to be surprised about anything, it would be Jay Cook and Gabe Van Sickle, but those guys are people who were coming on in the spring to a certain degree. So yeah, this is as good a shape as the offensive line has been in it feels like years for Ohio State.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's also some of the level of the lack of concern for Deas in terms of at quarterback, because you feel pretty good about the offensive line. So they're going to be more protected. They're going to be able to process and get the ball out, rather than like, I'm worried about my quarterbacks because I'm worried about they're surviving because of the offensive line. I know they're not going to have time to get through their reads. I know they're going to be going through stuff quickly. But with an offensive line that you feel good about, it's easier to feel good about the quarterbacks, and also with the guys they're throwing to, easier to feel good about the quarterbacks. But overall, you've got again, I don't recall a time where you kind of leave spring, because I'm pretty sure Jake Cook was the number 2 left guard by the end of spring last year, this spring, where you feel like you know who the top 10 are, and now you'll see, can anybody push their way into that top 10? And we'll see. There's some opportunities, but yeah, this is a pretty deep group.
So we need to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks in terms of what we actually heard from the quarterbacks, because this is our one and only chance to talk to the starting quarterbacks, whoever that may be. Talk to Julian Sayin, talk to Lincoln Kienholz, talk to Tavian St. Clair. No Eli Brickhandler, but we had the two guys who were really sort of in the fight for the starting position. And Tavian St. Clair sort of acknowledged, like, I'm a freshman. It's fine. You can talk about the other two guys as the ones who are competing for the job, which is fine. So what were your big takeaways talking to those guys, just in terms of maybe how they've changed since the spring, where they've seen progress since the spring, whatever?
Well, quickly on Tavian St. Clair, he's like, I'm competing against myself.
Yeah.
That's so he believes nobody's better than him. No, he's just like, I understand where I am, who I am, and I'm just trying to get better. And then the other two guys, they're competing against themselves, but again, they're against each other, but you're doing that by making sure that you're doing everything right. You're taking every rep seriously. And that's how you'll get better. And, the whole iron sharpening iron thing, but they're just pushing each other. Because again, in this thing, things are close enough that if you decide to take a day off, you're going to fall behind. And the only way you're going to catch up is if maybe somebody else takes a day off. And if that person doesn't take a day off, it may have just been that one day that cost you. And so there's that level of uncomfortability that goes in there. Ryan Day was asked, what was it like for you back in your day, and what would you tell yourself now? And basically it's like, it's an uncomfortable time, but these guys become your best friends that you're competing against because you spend so much time together. But he did say, I would tell myself, just focus on what you can control, like being a good leader, being a good teammate. Don't worry. He's like all of that, and just working as hard as you can. All of that is more important than being 12 of 15 in practice. And so those are the things that you can control. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. We've talked in the past about the quarterback battle in 2015, where JT Barrett was trying to be Cardale Jones, and Cardale Jones was looking over his shoulder at JT Barrett. They can't worry about, like, Julian can't worry about the things that Lincoln Kienholz can do in terms of his ability to run. And Lincoln has to be careful not to be like, well, everybody talks about Julian's release. I need to get my release quicker. He needs to make sure he's accurate in going through his progressions and just doing the job correctly, doing the routine things routinely. And so it's interesting to watch where you've got two guys who are young. They have their different skill sets, but also like they have to do what they do best. That's how they're going to win the job, and how they can be a leader, rather than, I know Coach Day and Coach Fessler like it when Lincoln does this. So Julian's like, I will also add that to my game. And that may not be his game.
Right. Yeah. You gotta do what you can do and not try and get outside of that, because one of the things that Tavian St. Clair said that I think applies to these other guys is, in high school, he felt like he had to make a play. Like he had to, and he's not like running down his teammates, but he said, the guys around me are better here than in high school, which, yeah, no kidding. So, but he said that's been in a little bit of an adjustment for him. You don't have to be the one who runs the, Jeremiah Smith do something cool play, but you have to sub your name in there. It is just you've got Jeremiah Smith. Get the ball out to Jeremiah Smith and let Jeremiah Smith do something cool. You've got James Peoples, you've got Brandon Innes, you've got Max Clare, you got all these guys around you. Get the ball out to those guys. One thing that Billy Fessler talked about, but I think a couple of the quarterbacks also talked about was, when they talk about getting the ball out, it's the release, but it's also just the processing. It's recognizing what's going on. It's figuring it out quickly, identifying where it needs to go and getting it out. It's not just, if you get a quick release, that's great, but you've got to do all the processing, identify, make your reads. That's sounds like it's 80% of it. And then, the quick release is great, but it's all the stuff before the release that actually really matters.
Yeah. And even before the snap, pre-snap reads, all of that, just processing where this ball needs to go and then getting it there. And, they're all working on that. That's always been Julian's strengths. And again, Lincoln just has to be careful not to try to be something he's not. Not that it's like that's not what it is, but just don't try to be somebody you're not when Lincoln is something different than Julian after the snap as well.
One other thing that Julian Sayin got asked about was his height, which you can read the height on the roster and it's like, yeah, okay. Because people have looked at him and thought, boy, he's small, boy, he's short. You can be listed as 6 foot or 6'1", but it's, 6'1". And he was asked, okay, so how tall are you really? And he said 6'1". And I went up, I walked around. I'm like, all right, well, when he walks away, I'm going to look because I'm 6'2". I can look. Okay. And he's a legitimate 6'1". So yes, he is not 6'1" in the same way that Tate Martell was 5'10". It's you have seen the heights sort of exaggerated, and it's like, wow, all these guys shrink 2 inches when they get to the NFL Combine. He is a legitimate 6'1", that's plenty tall to play quarterback in the Big Ten.
Assuming, Tom, that you are a legitimate 6'2".
Well, that's a
anyway. Let's change. No,
you're 5'8", right? Is that right?
So,
anything else from the quarterbacks that we need to get out?
And Julian did say he's up to 210 now. Lincoln said he's 6'3", 215. They have done some stuff together in terms of hobbies and things like that. But as Lincoln said, he's but again, I'm a South Dakota kid, he's a Cali kid, so it's never the two shall mix. But Lincoln was asked if he hunts. He's like, yeah, I've hunted. And then he was asked, do you think Julian hunts? And Lincoln's like, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think that's probably no. So, all right. Do we have any questions that we need to get to from the audience?
We got a couple here. Bucks and Brew. How does the OSU beat earn a Buckeye leaf?
Okay. How does the OSU beat earn a Buckeye leaf?
It's not a thing that we need to do. The more important thing is to earn super chats, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What would the Ohio State beat leaf sticker look like? It feels like it should be a typewriter in a nod to tradition.
Yeah.
Or just a -30 on the.
Although maybe typewriter is very old. I don't know when was the last time there was a typewriter in the actual Ohio State press box? The 90s?
Yeah, I was trying to think. I might have been up there once before they did the renovation in 2000. So maybe.
How about a McFlurry, which used to also be up in the press box, the McFlurry machine, which they removed for I don't know why, punishment of the media. Kevin,
you know what you did.
Odysseus, Tom with the Whalers cap. It's a sign of the football season.
The Whalers hat, yes. I end up trying to wear stuff that's not active teams. It's either the Blue Jackets or stuff that's not active teams, because otherwise we get derailed and it's like a lot of Mets talk or whatever. So it's usually a mix of Houston Oilers and Hartford Whalers and Brooklyn Dodgers, other than the Blue Jackets.
I can't tell you how many Montreal Expos caps that I have in various cards that I just can't pull the trigger on.
Lisa Sims would like to know if we know what happened to the banners that used to be up here before they changed them out.
So that's a good question from Lisa Sims. What happened to the banners that were up there before they changed them out? My guess, and this is just a guess because I did not ask about this, but my guess would be that those will be auctioned off at some point. Like they have memorabilia sale kind of things. They do that at the spring the country themed rodeo thing that they do.
I think that's the exact name.
Yes, the country themed rodeo thing that they do after the spring game. Yes, 2026 edition. My guess will be you'll be able to buy those at auction at an event like that. I mean, this is what it is. You can't tear down a stadium without selling the seats, I have a loge section sign from Shea Stadium in my basement because I also am a sap who will buy stuff like that. But they sold, you could buy rows of seats and stuff. So I would guess that as you're pulling stuff out of a place like this, you're not just throwing it in a dumpster. It's probably being sold somewhere.
Yep.
Last one that I have marked. El Suzabo. Was there a processor better than CJ Stroud? I don't think so.
Was there a processor better than CJ Stroud?
Well, Ryan Day did also give a shout out to Dwayne Haskins in terms of the quickness with which he got the ball out. So I think those are the two best we've seen at Ohio State that just had the complete package of they were the two best throwers that we've seen at Ohio State.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I mean, Justin Fields was great at Justin Fields would be in this conversation for like the history of Ohio State football on the whole, but he just in proximity, he was between those two guys. And so therefore he's probably third place between those guys, but is probably pretty high in Ohio State history. I'm interested to see what Julian Sayin looks like this fall, because you've heard enough about that from him that you get the sense you're probably going to see it and recognize it this fall. Is he CJ Stroud level? Boy, if he's CJ Stroud level, boy, that changes the ceiling on this year's season. We'll see where he is, and we'll see where this quarterback battle ends up. But we'll be talking about all of that all month long at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where we got Tony and Kevin and I covering the team. We got our whole team of X's and O's gurus. We got our whole team of recruiting guys all there, plus a really fun and active community on the Huddle Board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. That is all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Also want to let you know, you can look for a live show Tuesday night. Tony and I planning an 8 o'clock live show to talk a little bit about the Michigan situation, what you can expect there, because that's supposedly pretty imminent. Whether that's days or weeks, we'll see. But the resolution to that, we're going to be talking about that 8 o'clock Tuesday night at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. I'll throw a link on Twitter and on our board as well. But just want to go ahead and save the date for that. Should have plenty to talk about there as well. So that'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.